The DSA revolution faces another big test tomorrow. Wisconsin Democrats will decide whether Socialist Francesca Hong gets a shot at the governor's mansion and whether they're ready to sign on to a whole lot more than just her name on the ballot. A long list of controversial comments and far-left policies, from abolishing ICE to defunding the police, to really bizarre stances like canceling Thanksgiving. Squad leader AOC stopping short of endorsing Hong and chalking up Hong's most out-there positions to the COVID era.
She's moved away from it. And I have a local city councilman that has this saying, woke one was crazy.
Did the movement go too far with some of those positions? I mean, you briefly supported the idea of defunding the police.
Well, you know, I think that during this time and especially during COVID, there was a huge opening of the Overton window. We were shut down. There was some of the highest unemployment rates that we have seen because of those shutdowns. Yeah. Of course, rhetoric in that time is not rhetoric that we would use today.
But the DSA Dems are undeterred and apparently unprepared. The group's co-chair stumbled when pressed on its big plans to tax the rich.
We do believe in taxing the hell out of millionaires. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what does taxing the hell out of them mean?
Yeah, you know, I don't have like a solid, but I think.
But shouldn't you? I mean, if you're the co-chair, of the DSA, shouldn't you be more specific than just taxing the hell out of something? What exactly do you mean?
So again, it's democracy, right? And we have to look at what we need to spend and what we need.
We're looking. And here's Francesca Hong with a last-ditch effort to clean up her past comments before tomorrow's primary.
Sometimes I think that I had some hot takes, some bad takes on Twitter, but when you're a business owner running a restaurant during COVID or trying to pay bills as a student, you're putting feelings out there to the world, but I've evolved, I've learned. I think it's more dishonest not to learn. So I'm feeling right now very grateful to be at this point in the campaign.
So, Kellyanne, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks to me like some of these far-left socialist Democrats are being forced to think through some of these policy pitches on the fly. Have they thought this through?
No, of course not. AOC stands for always on camera, and she's the best example of this. She is a performer, not a reformer. She went to Washington to legislate. That's her job. She's a pontificator, not a legislator. She passed one bill in 4 years of Biden, one. So if you're not good at that, you're going to be good at other stuff, like living online, being a communicator, playing with your hair and giggling every time somebody suggests you should be commander-in-chief of our military. Really, with the whole world watching, that would be embarrassing and a disaster. But Francesca Hong doesn't even have AOC's endorsement. She's even too radical for AOC, who's trying to disavow positions. The positions that these folks took, Sandra, were not when they were running for student council president in the 7th or 8th grade. This was practically yesterday. And for Francesca Hong to say, I was a business owner, meaning she's saying abolish ICE, get them out of Wisconsin now, has nothing to do with paying bills during COVID. You're a liar. AOC is saying, you know, quote, rhetoric in that time is not rhetoric we would use today. In that time was 5 years ago. So are we also to believe that if it's raining, you change your positions? If it's October, April, if it's that time of the month, you're going to change your position? This is disgraceful. And I think AOC and Francesca Hong, but particularly AOC, proved herself yesterday to be untrustworthy and unreliable to the voters. I also want to say, she started out, I think the best thing about her was that she was a bartender who knocked off Joe Crowley, a nice man, but a longtime incumbent who didn't take her challenge seriously. I think that's the best thing about her. She's not good at this anymore. You can't be the new thing, the fresh face, the disruptor 10 years in, and that will be 2028. She will have been there for 10 years. She supported Joe Biden. She supported Kamala Harris. She voted for Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries for Speaker. She is one of 10 Democrats to vote against a resolution, very simply condemning what happened on October 7, 2023, 11 short days later. So she's all over the place. And by the way, she doesn't want you to remember, but 2024 was a disastrous year for her politically. Not only she and the Obamas and the Clintons got wrong the Kamala thing, who lost disastrously, spent $2 billion and lost anyway. But this woman right there, she endorsed Jamal Bowman here in New York City. He lost his primary. She endorsed Cori Bush. She lost her primary. So she's hiding behind this sort of, I'm a progressive, but she's a performative progressive. It seems like it's for clicks and kicks to sway, you know, these stunts and grunts to sway you. And I don't think people are going to buy it. They're smarter than that. I don't think there's a large purchase for this. And the fact, Sandra, that so many of them are thinking for the first time, tweet first, think third and fourth, is going to cost them among the voters.
Yeah, I mean, is it okay for her to say she's evolved from a position she had literally just a few days ago? Folks didn't like her canceling Thanksgiving, so she flipped right back and said it's her favorite holiday. But what does it say that, Harold, AOC, far-left squad member AOC, is distancing herself from Hong because of her too far to the left radical policies?
Good to be with everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. I think you, Sandra, and Kellyanne are right. You can see them being asked these questions like, how are you going to answer the housing and education and tax problem in the country? How are you going to address the fact that people think you're way outside the mainstream? And they seem like they're thinking it through it on the fly, as if they're winging it in the middle of a gubernatorial campaign, in the middle of a congressional campaign. I personally like the Congresswoman AOC. However, years in, to Kellyanne's point, there are no legislative outcomes to point to. There are no legislative accomplishments to point to. There are no campaign, there are no themes or no legislation you're campaigning for on the campaign trail other than Donald Trump's terrible. Democracy is what produces the best minds and the best people. Yet you've been there all these years. What is it that you support? Do you support no taxes for the bottom 50%? We can debate that. They only pay 3% of the taxes. Say how you're going to incentivize more people to work. Say how you don't want tariffs because they're driving up the cost of groceries in your district, driving up the cost of things that people need most across New York. Say that you're for affordable housing, and here's your plan to do it. I think we've reached a point where you talked about the performative politics, Kellyanne. I agree. I think it happens a lot of times on the Republican side and the Democrat side. But Democrats, we have an opportunity to win a majority in the House and the Senate, and all we're doing is performing. There's no substance. There are no answers. Here we learned today, Sandra, that our Strategic Petroleum Reserve has 300 million barrels, the lowest it's been in 43 years. I don't hear any of them talking about that. I don't hear any of them talking about answers or ways we're going to address that going forward. I don't hear any of them talking about their ideas for what we need to do to build our allies back up and those relationships back up to ensure that we win this war in Iran. Instead, they're talking about canceling Thanksgiving.
And
Instead, they're talking about how they did. That's a position that they now wish they're going to change on. You're right. You can't have a position 3 years ago or 3 months ago and 3 weeks ago or 3 days ago and say, well, I didn't mean that.
You also
Voters will take that into consideration.
Of tax the rich as the co-chair of the DSA and not be able to explain what that means.
Listen, the party against fossil fuels is not going to shed a tear when fossil fuels are more expensive. Actually, they were strategizing for that long before Trump ever decided to take the fight to Iran. So you're not going to see good ideas come to, that's not going to become one of their campaign talking points on how they're going to get the price of gas down. They would be happy with it being $6 a gallon if that meant they could subsidize solar and wind and other things that aren't the answer. And so that's the reason why you're not seeing anything come from the left on that. As far as the Democrat Socialists specifically and Hong specifically, I mean, this is a woman who said she doesn't like Thanksgiving because it's a really painful experience for a lot of Americans. You know, that holiday that started 300 years ago that was all about coming together, that's a painful experience for people that are alive in 2026. That makes sense to her. I mean, the only painful experience at Thanksgiving is either because you're a Cowboys fan and you know that's your Super Bowl, or you've got indigestion and you're having to talk to the uncle you don't like. I mean, otherwise, it is the holiday most people prefer over the others because it's not overly commercialized and materialistic. And so if you're willing to attack that as something you're willing to say out loud, that shows where you are when it comes to loving this country and understanding its culture. Because there is a culture in America. Even though there's a monolith or a collection and amalgam of these other cultures, you have to have at some point a love and appreciation and acceptance of what is American culture. Celebrating holidays like Thanksgiving is a part of that. And so what is the basis of this DSA movement, really this communist movement? It's to challenge status quo, but the status quo of everything that is American. And that's the problem. They start attacking the government that's written in the Constitution. They start attacking the capitalist economy that we started this country with. You don't get America without the Boston Tea Party, and that's because they didn't like the taxes. So it's from the very beginning they're attacking all of it.
Yeah, Greg, I should point out that interview with the DSA co-chair where she got tripped up and hadn't thought through how they were going to tax the hell out of the billionaires, which has now become millionaires, right? That was the New Yorker. Yeah. These aren't gotcha interviews where this is happening. And by the way, should the strategy on the part of Republicans be just get them on the record? Just hear exactly where they stand and ask them, to Harold's point, what the plan is if they have one?
Well, first, AOC. So let's say you're a young person living in a house with a bunch of roommates, and one of your roommates comes home and invites a vagrant. You know, he's crazy looking, his eyes are all over the place, smells like crap. But your roommate saying, oh, he could just stay the night, and she's kind of cute. And every time you say, I don't think this is a good idea, she questions your compassion. What, don't you care about the people less privileged than you are? He's only going to stay the night. Look at him. He needs a rest. And so the vagrant, against your warnings, gets to spend the night. The next day, everything's stolen and your building burns down. And then your hot roommate goes, wow, that was crazy. What happened? That's AOC and every Democrat who enabled wokeism, which is an attack on Western civilization. You know, she didn't say that it was crazy when it was happening because it was hot. It was exciting. And she couldn't risk a loss of status in progressive circles. So she embraced what was an inherently a destructive attack on everything from biology to the economy. It would be helpful if she could explain why it's crazy. But then she'd have to defend a system that she had condemned. The whole point was tearing the system down, economic, law and order, the border. So if she says it's crazy, then you have to ask her why to find out if she believes there's something of value in the system that she had condemned as irreparably oppressive. So I don't think she's saying these radicals were wrong. She's saying they went too fast. To a leftist, they're still going to run you over, but they prefer to do it under the speed limit so no one notices. But they're going to run you over no matter what. Yeah. Now to Hong. When I listen to Hong and I see her old tweets, they're completely congruent. If you were to do a game show where you were to match a person to their tweets, it would be instant the moment she opened her mouth. Oh, she wrote those tweets. She doesn't appear to have any dramatic change in her personality, psychology, her thinking from those days that she wrote those tweets. They are one and the same. It wouldn't matter if she were running a culinary ladies collective for women and non-binary people in the food industry. But she's going to govern Wisconsin. So we're talking about the person who wrote those tweets and is still that person, who is governing public safety, prisons, emergency management, commerce, transportation. Not only does she have no experience and no idea how to do that, the very information that she'd been ingesting in her entire life creates a deficit of wisdom, a deficit of intelligence. For every dumb idea that has been put into her brain took room that could have been occupied by a decent idea. The idea that suddenly she abandoned this amount of thought that she had her entire life, and now she understands free markets. No. She's only evolving because tomorrow she wants to win.
She's got to win first, so I'm not convinced she wins this primary.
Yeah, I hope you're right.
See.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.